UIC.
Freedom the people of need.
Hell yeah.
Freedom the people of need. Yeah, yeah. Freedom the people of want. Freedom the people of need. Yeah, yeah. Freedom the people of want. Freedom the people of need. Yeah, yeah. Freedom the people of want. Freedom the people of need. Yeah,
Yeah. Real man a road. Now bow wolf in a tree grand a road. Now bow down to no demon a road. UIC when you see man a road, me say yeah. Real man a road. Now bow wolf in a tree grand a road. Now bow down to no demon a road. UIC when you see man a road. Ready for broke every chain. The when you free up the people, levitate. Jamaica member, you ever great. I feel burn up the fire upon every snake. Me give thanks in every way. God still a look down once see we safe. UIC run the road long time. GLP and PMP I sell we out. Till I do the test even though we know the end result. If them coulda kill with them catch we and hang we know. No force no coercion, me freedom in a step. No one fi rob we and kill we and feel them and go make it out. You know see the leeches, you know see the hands of the devil when him sleep with. You know see the leeches, you know see the hands of the devil.
Hello and welcome to another edition of the UIC Liberty TV. Good evening everyone. Let's see who we have online tonight. Mitzi Lawrence, big up yourself. Bless up Uniters. Godfrey Richards, glad to have you here. JMH, always here and on time. Yes. So tonight we're having a discussion about a clean Jamaica and how we can get Jamaica clean and beautiful and looking like our resorts. Desmond Myrie, good night Jamaican, home and abroad. UIC is the game changer. Vote and support. Let's rock, Mr. Harper. Alan Scott, big up yourself. Kahan Brown and Patriotic Vibes. Glad to have you guys on. So as I said, tonight we're going to be talking about a clean Jamaica. And you know, the question is always asked, you know, why can't Jamaica be clean? Or why can't Jamaica be an orderly country? You know, why can't our communities look good with well-manicured lawns and hedges and, you know, clean streets and all these things? Why can't all of Jamaica look and feel like a tourist resort? So tonight we're going to talk about how we can get that in Jamaica. Remember guys to like and share the live, and of course please do comment. We look forward to your comments, but also please subscribe, because the more subscribers means the more people will see our shows or our lives, but also we may be able to monetize and get some, you know, money in the kitty for the UIC. So keep those shares, those likes and those comments coming, and of course subscribe. Patrick Metz, UIC rooting for this movement to rid Jamaica of the 2 Ps. Yes, they're really becoming they've already become a pestilence. And tonight we're gonna be talking about some of the issues that, you know, both parties for 78 years just have not been able to somehow grasp and understand or even implement, you know. And so we're talking about a clean Jamaica tonight. And, you know, when you talk about clean Jamaica, you're going to be talking about, you know, one of the things is garbage collection. And we're having a huge crisis right now in Jamaica with garbage collection. But before I get too much into that, garbage collection is usually done by the National Solid Waste Management Authority, the NSWMA. And this is an agency of the government that basically was put in place or was set up to manage solid waste in Jamaica, to safeguard public health and to ensure that the waste or the solid waste is collected, stored, transported, recycled or reused or disposed of in an environmentally sound manner. So basically, the NSWMA has been charged with the what's the word I'm looking for? The mandate to, have our solid waste properly picked up and properly disposed of, right? In a timely manner and in a a scheduled timely manner. But also as well, the NSWMA does cleaning, so they also do sometimes bushing of areas, manicuring lawns, etc. If you go on their website, they actually have a division that is dedicated to that kind of that kind of work, where they cut lawns and cultivate plants, etc. But over the years, there's been a problem with this garbage collection in the country. It's just not no, it's not now that it's been a problem. It's been a problem that pops up every now and again over the years, and it's weird because I'm saying this is an agency that you're pretty much you're doing. Pretty much doing one thing: picking up garbage, collecting it, and disposing of it in a manner that is, going to be sanitary and safe to public health. And how is it that you're not able to do this efficiently? I mean, over 60 years, we're still here where communities don't have proper garbage collection, going months on end. And I'm not just talking about this situation that's been happening recently, but this is something that's been happening over the years. I mean, our president, Mr. Patterson, has said that in the 10 years that he moved back to Jamaica, he moved back to Jamaica in 2010 or 2011, I believe. So from then till now, I think he said his garbage has been collected 4 times. That's crazy. 4 times in what, 10 years? That's ridiculous. And so why is it that a government agency that is so key in making Jamaica look a certain way and helping to upkeep the image, not just the image of Jamaica, but also the image that we have of ourselves? The other day I was speaking to some of my friends, and they were saying, downtown people just nasty. And I'm saying, yeah, but downtown people weren't always nasty. It's not like somebody born downtown just born nasty. I mean, it was something that they've learned, years of no garbage collection. What are you going to do with the garbage? And so we all create garbage, but some of us are able to package that garbage and put it in a bin, and the garbage is collected at the end of the week or sometime during the week. Some of us, that doesn't happen for a month. Some of us, that doesn't happen for weeks, and in the case of months, years. And in the case of Mr. Patterson, hasn't happened in 10 years, 4 times in 10 years. It's really ridiculous. So clearly, the agency doesn't have the requisite equipment and tools needed to properly manage solid waste disposal. That's clear, and we're going to see that in upcoming videos. So I'm going to play a video right now that is going to share with you the issues that the NSWMA is having with their fleet management system. So here we have a system where they have trucks that are supposed to go out and collect garbage, and there's a software system that can manage those the pickups, what truck goes where, what time, etc. Fleet management system, and they don't have a proper fleet management system. So this video is going to show the issues of the NSWMA with their fleet management. Hopefully someone in the background will be able to play that. If not, I will do it. Let's see if I can. Okay. All right, great.
Has never had a fleet management system. Could be given like one was here and is no longer here.
All right, looks like that video is not working. Let me see if I can get it on my screen and share it with you guys. Where are we? Okay, here we are.
The NSW never had a fleet management system. The impression could be given like one was here and is no longer here. We have never had a fleet management system. Do we need one? Absolutely. Running so much trust, we need one. And that's why 2 years ago we took the proposal to the board and subsequently brought a supplier to do a presentation to our board. And we are now just in the process now of finalizing the purchase of land. And that was told also to the Auditor General. So that we don't have one now, that is true. We can see that point. But is it that we are not taking steps to acquire one? Absolutely. Just like we did, there was no audit software here to help the auditors to do their work. We put one in. There was no HR software here to help the HR department. We put one in. And we are now putting in a Sage management for the accounting department also. So the NSW remains a work in progress. We are not where we want to be, but we are farther along than we were when I came.
Okay, I don't know what's happening. All right, so there you have it. They don't have a fleet management system. They didn't have an HR software system. They didn't have an audit system. I mean, this is an agency of the government that is a critical part of the public health of the country. You know, I mean, if garbage isn't collected on a timely basis, we're gonna have rats, we're gonna have flies, we're gonna have maggots, we're gonna have dogs, you know, and cats rummaging and foraging through the garbage, which causes some kind of public health issue. And this is the government's the agency of the government that is mandated to deal with this, and they don't even have proper tools and equipment to do the job that they're supposed to be doing. And this is I mean, this is 2022. This is not 1905. This is not, you know, the 40s, the 30s. This is 2022. And this is the situation that we have in Jamaica. All right. So Godfrey is asking where the money goes. That's a very good question. Where does the money go? Where is all that money going that the government is collecting in terms of tax and, you know, all the various taxes that we have? Where is all that money going? Well, it's going somewhere. It's not going where it should go. That's the point. All right. So the most recent solid waste crisis that we're feeling right now has been felt island-wide, right? With some areas not having their waste collected in months. And as I said earlier, in the case of Mr. Patterson, 4 collections in 10 years, right? Now, I'm going to play a video that's, this is going to be a 3-part series. We're going to play one series, then a second part series, and a third part series. These are short videos, but it's a series that was done on TVJ about the garbage collection crisis. And so I'm going to play this video that is basically the start of it. And it basically, the video basically kind of gives you an idea of what's happening in the country, right? So here we go. Let's see. All right. Is that it? No, it's not it. Okay. All right. Here we go.
This evening, we delve deeper into the impact of the garbage collection crisis facing Jamaicans. For more than 2 weeks, our reporter Wayne Anderson has been visiting parishes where the situation is dire. Has the first of a three-part Primetime News in Focus special report.
A garbage receptacle painted in the colors of the Jamaican flag, overflowing with garbage. This perfectly captures the collection crisis in parts of the country. The backlog started around 2 years ago when the COVID-19 pandemic hit, and it has been worsening since. It's mainly due to a shortage of garbage trucks, which in turn means fewer loads of waste going into the country's disposal sites, like here at Riverton. This spells bad news for pickers who make a living off dump sites.
It's kind of slow, yes. Now we are through Corona thing and certain way. We don't know. Iron slow. Room now buy more, so it's hard, brother. It's not nice.
I don't know. You see me? Nothing really come as much, you know?
What you say, Yalo?
Bag feeding.
For what?
For me hog them. Because to me raise hog. You get what I say, so that's my aim. You see me?
Why you feed out them?
Sludge. Like Duan, Patty Duan, Nutri Mix and bread and bun and all these things you feed the hog them.
People have also resorted to disposing their garbage illegally. We counted more than a dozen illegal dumping sites in parts of Clarendon, Manchester, St. Catherine and St. Thomas during our investigation. Then there are those who leave their garbage on the roadside, hoping it will be picked up. But that takes weeks and at times months.
What the government can do for us around here, okay? So the old scheme need to clean up. So we need some truck to take up the garbage on the scheme. Look outside there. Look outside. Look on the roadside. Look on the roadside, go down, go up back the road.
In some residential areas, people use trees and fences to hang bags of garbage to keep them away from stray animals on the prowl for a meal. But the animals are unrelenting, like these dogs, and more often than not, they get into the waste. There's also the stench from the rotting food.
As you can see, the bag them hang up there, and you jump on, all of them full about 2 months going or 2 months and add.
Situations like these have also given rise to garbage wars among neighbors. One resident related a recent confrontation over the issue.
One morning, a girl over next door, I fight me and her, almost fight, because she a creep down in garbage down in front of my bar, and me I tell her, say I burn my garbage them, and me buy a bag to put my garbage back, put my garbage, and see me a fling over garbage over here, and she a fling it back over here. So.
And from the proverbial bad blood to actual bad blood, medical waste is also going uncollected in this crisis. A medical practitioner explained how the backlog has impacted his work.
Nowadays, we're not quite sure when they're coming. It can be 2 weeks, can be 3 weeks. We've even had them coming as late as 4 weeks after the date when they're supposed to come. So that is a problem. So what I have to do is just follow the advice I gave a while ago, make sure I bag away the things properly and put them in a secure area until they come, because you really can't afford to have medical waste out there.
The National Solid Waste Management Authority, NSWMA, needs 150 trucks to adequately serve the country. The most the agency has ever had at any time is 20. Consequently, the NSWMA has to send trucks from places like Kingston to other parishes to help with the collection. St. Thomas is one of the parishes worst affected by the truck shortage. In part 2 of this 3-part series, we will look at why this garbage collection backlog is bad news for Jamaicans' health. Dwayne Anderson, TVJ News.
All right, so this is a serious situation. 150 trucks are needed to, cover the whole island. And we only, the most we've ever had is 20. I'm sorry, I'm laughing. This isn't a laughing matter, but 20. Again, this is the agency of the government. This is not some, foreign company coming in, right? These are the people that we have voted in and put in positions to safeguard our public health. And the most they've ever had in terms of garbage collection trucks is 20. And they would need 150. I'm sorry, how can this continue? I mean, how can we as a people sit down and say, all right, yeah, man, yeah, I'll vote for JLP or PNP. This is crazy. Anyway, so I'm sorry, let me get back to my notes. Right, so 150 trucks, only 20 they've ever had. Right? So what is this? What is the issue? Why is it that the NSWMA can't get the proper equipment it needs? Why is the government not providing the proper funding for something like this? You know, these are questions that we have to ask. You know, do they purposely want to keep us in this state of dirtiness and uncleanliness and unsanitariness, or is that a word? Being unsanitary, for them to come, you know, once every 5 years and say, oh yeah, we're going to clean up the place and we're going to do this and we're going to do that for election time, and then everybody runs and votes for them, and then, you know, that's it, you don't see them again. The trucks come once every, when them feel like, you know. This is untenable. This is untenable. And so with all this happening, there are bound to be issues popping up. So issues of diseases, right? Issues of respiratory illnesses. And this video is going to kind of show you some of the health risks that are involved with having an unclean space, right? So this is part 2 of the series. So I'm going to share my screen again, and we're going to look at part 2 of the series.
In the meantime, the health risks facing Jamaicans from the garbage collection backlog is greater than many think. Stakeholders, including some medical practitioners, have therefore shared tips on how Jamaicans can keep safe during the crisis, even as they ask the authorities to do better with the collection. Dwayne Anderson now has part 2 of this Primetime News in Focus special report.
More Jamaicans are burning their waste as fewer garbage trucks come their way. For instance, this yard in Clarendon has 3 areas designated for this purpose, while in the commercial district in downtown Kingston, a massive area of land is devoted for the practice. We observed one evening as the pile of rubbish burned. A JPS pole in the area appears to have been compromised by the repeated fires near its base.
Rubbish truck take all more than 1 month to come. The garbage pack up by gate. Sometimes all 2 months before it come. So some time I burn, we have to burn rubbish.
Neighbors sometimes burn either, garbage itself, or sometimes just burning of grass or other materials that they may have cut from around the bush or so on that they may have cut from around their household. And as a result of this, it creates problems for the persons. Sometimes the neighbors are considerate and they'll stop the practice if it's pointed out to them that's affecting them. But some persons are not as considerate, and we do have persons who, in one particular case I can remember, the neighbor suggested to my patient that they should probably move because they had no intention of stopping the burning.
In fact, the medical doctor explained that repeated exposure to smoke from burning garbage is as dangerous as smoking cigarettes. And while burning garbage is not new in parts of Jamaica, in particular rural districts, the practice poses an added threat these days. Combined with the Saharan dust, people with lung and breathing issues are most at risk.
It does create a lot of particulate dust matter in the atmosphere. And although, to some extent the lungs can deal with, in a limited way with dust particles, these levels of dust particles are exceptionally high. And even for persons who don't have lung disease, we would recommend that they try to limit exposure to the dust, especially when it is announced through the meteorological service that there is a significant increase in the atmosphere. But persons who have lung disease certainly should stay away, stay out, try not to go outdoors. They should ideally be wearing a mask.
Furthermore, dangerous chemicals released from containers in garbage fires can end up in your drinking water when it rains. But there are other potentially deadly health concerns posed by animals that get into your waste.
So it's minutes of 9 o'clock Thursday evening, and I'm in Mapen, Clarendon. Now, the parish capital, according to some local government representatives, is being overrun by rodents. So I've decided to come into the parish capital to have a stakeout of sorts to see if I can spot any of these rodents that are supposedly overrunning the town. So let's see what we find.
We did not see any rats during our nighttime stakeout, but we did see dogs. This dog appeared to have found a tasty meal in this bag of garbage left unattended. Within minutes of licking and biting through the garbage, a man followed. Now, if that animal was carrying diseases, those germs were likely picked up on the man's bare hands.
Make sure they bag their garbage properly and they put them in secure containers. As I mentioned earlier, you bag them, you put them out on the roadside. If it's not in a secure container, domestic animals like dogs and cats will come along and tear them, and goats will come along and tear the bags and expose themselves.
Rats like this one foraging through garbage in New Kingston in the broad daylight also concerns the doctors.
The houseflies will carry diseases like leptospirosis and typhoid and so on when they pitch on persons or pitch on your food, right? So the uncollected garbage is really a big problem. And with what is happening right now across the island, I'm pretty sure we're going to have an upsurge in all of these diseases which are carried by both the rodents and the houseflies.
The medical practitioner said so far he has not seen any cases of leptospirosis or dengue, but he warned that Jamaicans are at higher risk to viruses as the garbage piles grow. Tomorrow, in part 2 of this 3-part series, we will look at potential solutions to the garbage collection backlog.
All right, so part 2, we saw some of the health issues that arise from untimely picking up of garbage. So one of the issues, most people, when the garbage isn't collected on time, they burn it. And I think I heard somewhere that burning garbage is illegal. I'm not sure, but one of the health risks related to burning garbage is asthma or respiratory diseases, not just asthma, but respiratory diseases. And it's one of the reasons why a lot of people that live in Corville Gardens have respiratory issues, because every time the Riverton dump burns or catches on fire, and they're engulfed with smoke basically because they're right behind or in front, I don't know, yeah, they're near the dump, so they get most of the smoke. And it's been an issue. I know a couple of people that live in Corville, and all of them have respiratory issues just because they've been living there for a length of time. So we have respiratory illnesses. We also have other diseases that can be picked up from animals, rodents, that are foraging through the garbage, and that are passed on to people, street people that are on the road, or even just regular rats and dogs, just foraging and making a mess of the garbage. So we have those issues, and again, these are things that can be easily dealt with, simply dealt with. People are putting garbage where they think they can. We need to provide proper receptacle bins for people to place garbage, but also a time to pick up of these of the solid waste, right? So part 3 of the video series now explains how a town in Jamaica, with all of this happening, there's one town in Jamaica that has actually gotten the title of the cleanest town in Jamaica. And we're going to see what town that is, and also the video will share a solution to the garbage problem as we have it right now. So let me go and share my screen again. And we're going to look at the last last video in the series, Garbage Collection Crisis.
Time now for the final part of our three-part In Focus report, looking at the garbage collection backlog facing the country. Now, this evening, our reporter Dwayne Anderson examines possible solutions.
Mandeville, Manchester, often described as Jamaica's cleanest town. We asked the mayor of Mandeville to explain what he's doing differently.
I still consider Mandeville to be the cleanest town in Jamaica. For the town centers itself, as you realize that the town center is swept every morning by 4:30, 5 o'clock. The sweepers are on the streets. The collection of the garbage within the town center itself is collected very early in the morning.
A Mandeville resident also told us his garbage is collected weekly. And when he doesn't want to keep bags with leftover meat at his gate, he disposes it at this site. It is usually collected quickly afterwards. We accompanied him during one of his visits.
Let's just state that TVJ in no way condones or encourages illegal dumping in the country. This is simply to test how garbage is collected in other parts of the country.
When we returned the following morning, the garbage bags were gone. This raises a few questions, including, is Mandeville and other so-called uptown communities given priority attention? We put the issue to the NSWMA chief.
Nothing could be further from the truth. So what you will see is we have trucks assigned to various locals. Now, if you're a truck, maybe you're fortunate to have one of the newer trucks serving your area, you will have less problem. So what we do from time to time is juggle the trucks. We have to juggle. We can't play garbage politics, We don't have the luxury of playing garbage politics. Let me level with the Jamaican people. We collect garbage everywhere.
In fact, the mayor of Mandeville admitted it is only the town centre that benefits from consistent collection, while the backlog exists in other areas. Now, there is one way to make some of your garbage vanish like magic. That is through composting. Composting is a recycling method where biodegradable material is placed in a position where they can decompose and then be used as fertilizers. And with nearly 10% of the garbage the NSWMA collects being compostable, the approach is worth investing in.
If you are in a community where there are farms and kitchen gardens, the best way to nourish your crops is to use compost. And we are prepared to come in, as we have done in several communities already, to go in and to work with RADA, work with the SDC, to show you how to do it.
That is music to the ears of farmer and head of the Jamaica Agriculture Society, Ledworth Fulton. He concurs that at a time when fertilizer prices are climbing, it is worth exploring.
So it is something that will allow you to cut back on the overuse of fertilizer and so on. And it helps with water retentivity in the soil and add to the texture of the soil. So it's a very valuable agricultural practice.
So what are some compostable material?
Peeling skin from banana, yam, sweet potato, all of these things, plant material that would otherwise been dumped in the garbage.
I found some of those materials around my kitchen and did an experiment of my own, mixing the vegetable leftovers with the soil as well as leaves, and then storing it in a select spot for later use.
I'm going to do a little bit of composting in my back garden. It's not really a garden, it's just some land at the back of my yard. I have my tool, cutlass, machete, some leftover rice, some mango skins and seeds that I've been eating. And just go ahead and cover that like that.
That aside, the NSWMA says it needs 150 trucks to adequately serve the country. The most the agency has ever had at any time is 20. The agency has been engaging owners of private garbage trucks, but delays in payment remains a sore point. One contractor who does not wish to be named publicly in order to preserve his contract with the government said the timely payment is critical now given the escalating cost of fuel, end quote. But whatever the solution is to this emerging crisis, it needs to work quickly given the dire consequences. Dwayne Anderson, TVJ News.
Okay, so there you have it, folks. Mandeville has been able to, at least in the town, as according to the NSWMA chief, or according, was it the mayor, at least in the town, they've been able to keep the town very clean. And I don't know, here is a town that is able to do what the rest of Jamaica could do. I mean, how hard is it to get your street cleaners coming out every day and cleaning the streets, to keep the streets clean? How hard is it to have to provide enough trucks to the agency so that you're able to have a timely pickup of garbage in and around the area, in and around the country? I mean, this shouldn't be a one-off case. This should be every town, every community in Jamaica is clean. But again, we have a government that doesn't really care about that. They're more concerned about making grand statements and, you know, saying all these things. The other day, the Prime Minister said that he wants to redesign or uplift Washington Boulevard because you can't be having, you know, the main thoroughfare coming into the city looking like that. And I'm saying, but if you take you take Spanish Town Road instead of Washington Boulevard, you take Spanish Town Road and go the other way, you're passing the dump. I mean, and you're seeing garbage strewn all over the place, and you go further down. I mean, what are you going to say? People shouldn't drive that way to go to the city. They should drive Washington Boulevard. I don't know. I mean, it's just weird that what they choose to highlight, you know, are things that are so minute in the grand scheme of things. So, you know, the UIC, well, I hope you all are fed up. The problem is that a lot of Jamaicans grew up seeing the garbage around the place. And so they just feel like that's, you know, that's it. They feel like this is the only thing, this is the best thing that we can have right now. We just have to survive and go through this. You know what I mean? It's not what we want, but it's the only thing we can get right now. And so we just have to go on with it. But the truth is, there is an option. There is an option. And we are looking to provide that change. We're the change you can trust, as one of our taglines says. And we need your help to go out there and spread the word and get the message out, right? But so what is the UIC's plan, or what is the UIC's position on all this? So the UIC's position, we want to make all of Jamaica, not just certain parts of it, all of Jamaica. We want to make all of Jamaica clean and beautifully maintained, with well manicured grass, clean streets, you know, hedging where there needs to be hedging, palm trees where we can have palm trees, if you're flowers, where we can have flowers, right? And of course, proper disposal and collection of garbage. You see, once we can clean the garbage or get rid of the garbage, dispose of the garbage properly, we now have a space to plant grass. Or even if you don't want to plant grass, if you want to, you know, do your own little backyard gardening, that's fine. But let's have the place looking clean. Let's have the streets being clean every day, every morning. Let's have proper upkeep of our sidewalks, you know, street lights, things like these. These are help to not only boost the look of the place, but also help to boost the feeling of the people in the area. So they feel like they live somewhere that is decent and is nice, and they want to keep that up. And I don't agree with what some people think that, oh, well, because, people come from a certain area, then they only want, the place to be dirty. That's not true. I have relatives living in downtown, and, they try to clean the place as much as possible. They want a clean environment. They don't want to be living in a pigsty, And so we want Jamaica to be clean, all of Jamaica. And so when all of Jamaica is clean, we can now use that as an opportunity to bring tourists in the communities. So we have more of a community built tourism sector, instead of having tourists lock themselves away in all-inclusive hotels in certain parts of the island, right? And I don't know if you notice, like when you go to these all-inclusive hotels, the grass is so well, there's no blade that's out of, everything is neat, right? The hedging, everything is neat. I mean, there's some hotels where, they've actually used the hedging and created figures and, all these things. Why is it that can't be expanded to the rest of the country? Why is it that our government just doesn't see the need to expand that, right? So we want all Jamaicans to experience this. And here's the thing, we want Jamaica to be for Jamaicans. We don't want to build a Jamaica for the foreigners. We want to build a Jamaica for the Jamaicans, for the locals. We want you all to, if you're living in St. Thomas, to be able to go down to St. Elizabeth for a weekend trip and enjoy the hotels there, or stay in an Airbnb in St. Elizabeth and enjoy the culture there and enjoy the community there and come back home to St. Thomas. Same thing if you're living in vice versa. If you're living in St. Thomas, you could go to Portland, for a weekend. We want to develop that kind of tourism, right? And when the tourists come, they can enjoy it as well. They can enjoy the country as well. But we're building, we're cleaning the country for our people, not for the foreigners, right? So there is a country that has actually done a lot. When they got independence, they were dirty, they were poor, they didn't have any kind of natural resources that we had. All they had was a port, basically. And they were able to turn the country around to being one of the cleanest countries in the world. And I know some of you may be saying, what are you talking about? Well, I'm going to share a video with you on this country that has now turned itself around to being one of the cleanest countries in the world, thanks to, the leadership of the country. So let me, all right. Okay, hold on.
7 reasons why Singapore is so clean. Singapore today is one of the cleanest cities in the world. The streets, beaches, parks, and city areas are often spotless. This was not always the case. In the early 1960s, Singapore was one of the world's filthiest cities. It was through the initiative of the first Prime Minister, the late Lee Kuan Yew, who drove Singapore to cleanliness, imposing strict laws and fines. Here are some reasons why Singapore is still clean today. Number 1. The weather. Singapore is a hot and humid country. If garbage is left around for an extended period of time, the heat will cause not only a pungent odor, but also attract assorted pests like rodents, flies, and cockroaches. Thus, it is imperative that garbage collection is performed much more frequently compared to a country with cooler temperatures. Number 2. Fines. Souvenir and discount stores will often carry t-shirts and placards with the slogan, "Singapore, a fine city," under which there is a list of a multitude of illegal activities that are subject to a fine. It's a tired joke that many Singaporeans will roll their eyes at, but at its core, it's not wrong. The Keep Singapore Clean campaign, which started in 1968, was when fines first began. Since then, authorities issue tens of thousands in fines for littering every year.
Number 3, cheap labor. Nowadays, Singapore isn't clean because its citizens fear fines. It's because there are a mass of workers doing the cleaning. These range from low-cost imported foreign workers to the elderly. As a comparison, there are over 50,000 registered cleaners with the National Environment Agency of Singapore versus only around 5,000 in a city like Taipei, the capital of Taiwan. These workers clean diligently, sweeping, picking up trash, and maintaining the cleanliness of this small island nation. Number 4, abundant bins. If you want to stop people from littering, you need to give them a place to put their litter. That's why in Singapore, there are rubbish bins everywhere. If you wanted to litter, you would probably need to put in more effort than simply throwing it in one of the readily available bins. Number 5, chewing gum ban. It is illegal in Singapore to import and sell chewing gum, apart from those used for therapeutic, dental, medicinal purposes. This is because chewing gum is expensive to clean and unsightly when stuck on pavement and buildings. Number 6, clean and green. Today, it's difficult to locate any waste in Singapore. It is one of the greenest cities to travel by car, MRT, and bus. There are trees everywhere. Parks are connected to each other in a smart system. High-rise buildings are full of bushes and trees. There are green bridges, the highways are blooming, and much more. It's the fulfillment of a vision of a clean, green society. Number 7, tourism. Finally, keeping Singapore visually appealing also helps to attract visitors and encourage tourism, which in turn boosts the local economy. Tourists and foreign executives are more likely to return to a clean, safe, law-abiding city.
All right, so those are 7 reasons Singapore is so clean. I don't know if you guys heard what was said. First point, number 1, weather. So they have similar weather like us. And so just like us, when you leave the garbage out for too long, a smell starts to come up because of the heat and the humidity. So they made sure that they provide timely collection of the garbage, so you don't have garbage staying out too long, right? They also made sure to put in fines for people that were going to litter the place, right? They also made sure that they had an employment base or employer base where they employ, what was it, 50,000 people that clean the city of Singapore. So they have a huge base of people cleaning the city, and that will help to keep the city clean, right? Then the other thing is that they made sure to put in receptacles, proper garbage bins and places that you can throw your garbage. NS said in the comments, people will discard of trash properly if containers are available. And I agree. You know, if you provide the containers, and even if they don't, even if you do provide the containers and they don't, then there's something that you can say to them, hey, listen, you know, we're providing this, use it, right? But when you have a case where it's not being provided, people have nowhere to throw their garbage and their trash, and then they're being told to somehow keep it until whenever it's, you know, whenever the NSWMA trucks are available to pick it up. How is that going to work? You know, now my backyard or my front yard or, you know, where I'm living must become a haven for rats and maggots and flies until you're able to sort out yourself. No, people are going to find ways to get rid of the garbage. And that's why you have a lot of people throwing garbage in the gullies as well, because trucks aren't coming to these areas to pick up garbage. And so they have to get rid of the garbage, right? So if you provide proper receptacles, proper bins, proper places for people to throw away the garbage, they will use it, right? And so that's what Singapore did. And so with cleaning up the environment, it made the place feel so much better. Now they're able to have parks, and, you know, even though they have all these high-rise buildings, they still have lots of lush greenery around. You know, they have walking green bridges that are walking above the flora. You know, imagine how that looks. Imagine how Jamaica would look. I mean, Singapore is like the size of St. Thomas. So imagine all of Jamaica looking like that. I mean, we wouldn't have space to keep tourists. We wouldn't. Who wouldn't want to come to a space like that? So they have all of this, and with all of that now, as I said, tourists are going to come. Tourists want to be a part of that. They want to go and take pictures, or they want to come and relax, whatever it is. But it's now an added source of income for the Jamaican people. But again, as I said, we're doing this for the Jamaican people, right? Not just for the tourists. So we can do it, people. And the UIC is here to show the way. The UIC is here to provide the proper guidance and the proper pathway towards, you know, this clean, beautiful Jamaica that we see. I don't know if anyone in the comments agrees, but I think, you know, I think we can do it, and I think, you know, under the helm of our president, Mr. Joseph Patterson, and, you know, the other people in the executive team, we'll be able to turn this country around. I mean, we have solid policies, solid plans, and, you know, we are literally the change that Jamaica needs in this time. GMH says, I agree. NS says, everyone in this live, please hit the like button. Definitely. So if you guys have any questions, put them in the chat and we'll try to see if we can get them answered. We saw a special guest pop on recently. So hopefully in this person, there we are, Mr. Patterson. How are you? I think you're still muted.
Yeah, man, I'm still there. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear.
Wonderful, wonderful. I love the presentation. Enjoyed it thoroughly. Great work. You know, one of the things I thought about when you were speaking and before now is how you create a culture. And what we have done in Jamaica, when we today call Jamaicans nasty, what we really should be saying is our leaders are nasty. And it's because our leaders are nasty, they created a culture of nastiness in the country. If we had a leader like Lee Kuan Yew, we wouldn't call ourselves nasty, because of his leadership, he created a culture of cleanliness in Singapore. You see, government has a role to play, and when government fails to play the role, it creates chaos, it creates dysfunction. You know, every citizen should be clean. Every citizen should do the right thing. But if every citizen would have done all the right things, you would not need government. So the reason we need government is to make sure that those among us who would litter pay a price for littering. And it's to make sure that you set an example by, if the government is clean, then more of the people are inclined to be clean. When you walk into a room that is well kept and well maintained, you feel uncomfortable littering. If you walk into a room and it is dirty and unkept, you don't really care as much. Now, of course, highly responsible people like you, Douglas, would care, and others like you. But many of us in the world, if we walk into an environment and it is unkept and messy, we're not inclined to do anything to keep it clean. And that's what's happening in Jamaica. Many citizens across the country are just fed up. They're tired of not being able to find a garbage bin to dispose of their garbage. They're tired of waking up to the garbage. Right now, if you come to my front gate, if you came here 1 month ago and come back now, you'd see the garbage waiting there to be picked up. I tell my wife, why are you waiting in vain? We have to go burn the thing. You understand? Because they're not going to come. So, and you don't want to burn it, right? Because it is not healthy to burn the garbage. But if you're not going to get it picked up, what do? We do composting as well. We compost all the things that we can compost, all the banana peels, the orange peels, the pumpkin peels, the papaya peels, all of that. But then you have other garbage which you can't just dispose of easily. So the government is the problem. Now, Singapore was as poor as us, and they realized the importance of putting in a system. In Jamaica, we don't seem to be interested in building complete systems. We're interested in making grand announcement.
Yes.
We're now going to clean up this area. We're having a big debushing program over here. We're getting a new truck donated by Canada. And all kinds of announcements, rather than getting down to the business of serious planning and management of the public space. Now, if the government cannot manage the public space, how do they expect the citizens to learn to manage in their private spaces? Yeah. So if the government doesn't care about the overall environment, how do they expect the citizens walking through that environment to care for it? But when you do what Singapore has done and show that the government cares about cleanliness, to have laws, to have enforcement of those laws, to have systems, to have supporting mechanisms for those systems, to consistently collect the garbage, to process. In fact, Singapore treats its garbage like wealth. They don't just throw away the garbage. They process the garbage to make sure that all the things that can be recycled are properly recycled. The things that can be turned into food for the soil, they put it into the soil to become food, mulching and composting. So the Singaporean government represent the kind of government every country would want to have. A caring government, a planning government, a competent government, a government with class, a government with taste, a government that actually respects the people enough to treat them the way they are treating their big mansions that they're building. If you go to the Prime Minister's mansion, you're not going to see the lawn being unkept. You're not going to see the driveway being improperly designed. You're not going to see garbage piling up and waiting to be collected because he wants what's best for him and his family. But he just doesn't want what's best for the rest of us. He doesn't care what happens to the rest of us. As long as he gets money from the colonial masters and from the PSOJ, he doesn't care about the rest of Jamaica, except when it's time to give political statements and photo opportunities so he can look like he's doing something. Those are my thoughts on the subject for now.
Yeah, that's true. So, question here from, or a statement from NS. They say, I own a vacant lot in St. James and it was parish council workers who were using it as dump for trash. At the same time, the government was running ads for citizens to clean up mosquito breeding sites. Well, I mean, there you have it. You have a system where the government says one thing, but, you know, it's a completely different thing in terms of action, you know. Lion Rule says, we can do the same things as in Singapore. We just need good leadership. That's the reason we should all vote UIC. Yes, I agree with the Lion Rule. And, you know, we need your help, guys. We need your help to win well, not just to win the votes, but we need your help to get out there. We need you to as much as you can, to donate to the movement. We have a goal right now of getting 1,000 donators giving $25 US or equivalent a month. Now, if you can't give 20 per month
or more,
right. So, you know, if you can't give 25, you know, give what you can. But if you can't give more than 25, please do. So our goal is 1,000 donators giving $25 US or more a month. And that would greatly help us, UIC, to go out in throughout the country and share. You know, it'll help us to be able to run ads through Facebook. It will help us to be able to do a lot more town hall meetings in communities. So we definitely need your help. And, you know, especially those in diaspora, you know, you guys are really special to Jamaica. They don't make you feel special. They want you guys to kind of, they just want to ignore you guys. But you guys are really propping up the nation. You know, 3 billion, I think it is. Is it 33 billion that is collected every year?
Yeah,
Mr. Thompson?
almost 30% of GDP.
From remittances.
Yeah.
So you guys are, you've been refugees in another country, and you're making it work, and you're able to send back money to Jamaica to help Jamaica work, and it's still not working. So why?
Well, they're saving lives. They're saving.
Well, that's true.
They're saving many. There's so many children who would go to school hungry. So many children would go to school without books, without uniform. So many families would go to bed hungry if it wasn't for the diaspora. You are lifesavers. You're accounting for roughly a third of Jamaica's GDP. I mean, a third. You know, I would be worried sick if one day we woke up and the diaspora stopped sending money home to Jamaica to help family and friends. You'd see poverty on a scale unimaginable.
Yeah.
Because a lot of Jamaicans are not earning at all, and some are not earning enough to be able to make ends meet. And it's a diaspora that is solving that problem. But before you continue, Douglas, I wanted to go back to something on the garbage issue. Every year we have Labor Day, and on Labor Day we make a big deal, and the government loves to make a big deal of it and have the citizens go out and clean up, and they try to cast a what's the word now, a kind of a blame game, like the country is dirty because of you people, and you need to come and do something about it. And any good government would want to encourage the people to play their part, and the people should play their part. But it's really a faulty logic, and I often talk about it when I see, people go online and they show pictures of themselves cleaning up their community, and they're applauded for doing it, and we make a big deal about it, while letting the government off the hook. Remember, when we the citizens go and clean up the road, take time off from our work and from our families, and we go and clean gutters and clean drains and debush areas and pick up plastic bottles that are littered all over the place and so on. What we're doing is the government's work. We're taking over the work of the government for free. After you have gone to your 9-to-5 job and worked very hard, or your farm and work, you are now being asked to take time out of your day to do things for which you have paid the government taxes to maintain your environment, and they're asking you now to come and do it while they are still not doing what they've collected your tax dollars for. And what they do in the meantime, because you're being so generous and kind, and to be very honest, fairly ignorant, they're enjoying the luxury of stealing the money that they should have used to pay workers to clean up your streets. So they're laughing at you. When we're going out and we're doing our Labor Day project and we're trying to do our cleanup and whatever, and they come out when they lift a few shovels and they do some nice photo opportunities and put it up on Facebook and so on and Twitter, while they're laughing because your tax dollars that was supposed to go into hire 50,000 people across Jamaica in a full-time job working in our public works department and are responsible for planting trees, for trimming edges, for maintaining the landscape along the roadside, for getting up early in the morning and picking up any trash that is out there. Inspectors who are supposed to identify persons who are littering and give them a ticket and all of that. An entire team of people that should have been hired, who would have provided an income for those people to go home and feed their families, doing a good, decent job. And remember, Jamaica has a huge abundance of labor that are low skilled. I'm just being very pragmatic here. A large amount of labor that are low skilled. So they left high school without the subjects, without the competences, and they're languishing. They left when they were 16 or 17 or 18. Now they're 25 and 30 and 45 and 50 and 60. And they have nothing to do. because the government failed to put in place a public works department which would hire 25, 30,000, 50,000 people across the 14 parishes, not giving them little Christmas work at Christmas time, and treat them like these little casual thing, and they leave them to starve for the entire year, and then give them a little 7,000 or 8,000 or whatever dollars once or twice a year, or to give the politicians money to go do little debushing in their communities, and the politicians don't get to in charge of that money and give them friend and partisan people, and some people get 2 or 3 check and they do nothing. I know all about it. I've seen it. A good government would have instead set up a proper public works department. No politician should get any money or any contracts to give out. The role of the politician is to bring the issues to the government and say, why aren't you doing this? Why aren't you doing that? Where did the money go? Why is it not being done properly? Their job is not to get money to go and give out or to get any contracts to go award contracts. Politicians must be separate from that. And the Public Works Department should be charged with the garbage collection, planning proper routine maintenance, making sure you have sidewalks in all of the communities so you don't have people in the street and car coming and they have to dodge, right? Because there's no sidewalk and they have to walk in the street. They should make sure that they're proper lighting throughout the communities, and they're to make sure that the grass is properly cut along the side of the street so it look good. Plant flowers routinely, proper kind of flowers to match the area, and to maintain that throughout. So when you are leaving work tired at the end of the day and you walk out of your office, you don't see a dirty Jamaica outside to greet you. And when you're driving home and you're stressed out and depressed and just want to get home and get a bath and eat some food and whatever, you have to drive through garbage and the place just look dirty and poorly maintained and whatever. No, a good government would make sure your spirits are lifted as you step out of the office and then drive home. Even if you're the janitor and you leave and you just do your janitor work and mop and it's hard and you're sweaty and you finish now and I clean up and I go home and you step outside, you see a garden city, a garden community, different levels of flowers, different colors and different contortions that allow you to see workmanship and artwork and care as you drive along. You feel like a tourist in your own country, as someone want the place to stay. But because you don't have a government that respects you, you don't have a government that cares for you, you don't have a government that wants the best for you, then they do not care about the environment that you have to live in from day to day to day. And when it pleases them, they cuss you and says, you why the place stays so. When a flood come and the flood come and flood out the whole area because they never clean the drain, they blame you and say you're nasty and drop things into the drain. Listen, people are always going to litter. The job of the government is to clean up the litter and punish those who they catch littering. Provide bins that people are encouraged to put it in the bins instead of littering, and make sure the bins are empty. If you have bins and they're always full, in the minds of the people, it says to them, you no care and them no need for care neither.
Yeah.
So them don't care. And then the bin overflow and it blows along the street and the minds of the people just denigrate, depreciate, just keep going down, down. And you do that for 5 years, it changes people. You do that for 10 years, it changes people more. You do that for 15 years, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, 70 years. Then you create a solid culture of nastiness. And now we need a new government to repair the minds of our people. A government that's going to say, it not only tell you it's wrong to litter, show you why you shouldn't litter, show you how a place can be kept clean and beautiful 24/7, 365 days a year, because we care. And on top of that now, when we say health and we talk about we care about your life and your livelihood, the people would believe you.
Yeah.
Because you'd have demonstrated by your actions that you do care about our lives and our livelihood. And it's not just because you're getting some special pandemic money now and you need to throw an advertisement to say that you're doing it, they can then thief that money. Then you start to tell us how much you care about our lives. The government of Jamaica cares nothing about the lives of the Jamaican people. That's why so far this year we have over 1,000 murders already, because we do not have a government who cares. The government they have chauffeur drivers to drive them around. They have high fences with cameras and protective devices all over the place. They are okay. Andrew Olness, Mark Golden, and all the rest of them, they are okay. They have nothing to worry about when it comes down to their personal security and the beauty of their home and the environment they live in. And when they're passing through to come to Parliament, they just turn up their nose and pass through quickly and come once in a while and leave. That's why downtown Kingston is so dirty. No, so dirty. Because they don't care about the people at North Street. They don't care about the people at Beeston Street. They don't care about the people at Blake Road. They don't care about the people at Anova Street. They don't care about Princess Street. They don't care about any of those little dirty communities where sewage is in the street, where garbage is lit all over the place. They don't care about any of that because they're going home to their beautiful homes paid for by your tax dollars, directly or indirectly, either through the salary that they get or the special allowances and bonuses that they get, or them thief it through the contracts they carry through their friends and company and get the money back to themselves. They do not care about Jamaica, and that's why Jamaica looks the way it does. And anybody who votes for a government like that, who doesn't care to ensure that you have a clean, safe, and orderly environment, is a government unworthy of your vote, unworthy of your support. But if you support them and if you vote for them, then guess what? You know better. Back to you, Mr. Douglas.
Yeah. And I remember a couple of years ago, there was an, I think it was Mike Henry. There was a big furor of him, using money to fix up his house and, all these things. And one of the comments he made was, "So am I supposed to live in squalor?" And I just thought, what? Are you serious? So it's okay for other people, the people in your constituency, to live in squalor, but it's not okay for you to live in squalor. You know what I mean? And that's why I like what the UIC says about, if you're going to be a representative for whatever constituency, you have to live in the area. You can't be that you're living, in Norfolk.
On the hill.
Yes,
Andrew's on the hill, looking
view.
down on the rest of us. He's just to the rooftop. You see the rooftops down in Kingston. And because he's so far away, they look nice.
They look nice,
Yeah, because he's far away on the hill. He's not seeing it.
All of that looks beautiful. The view looks lovely. But then you're representing an area.
And when it's election time, they will go down into these gutters.
Yes. Roll up them foot.
Roll up them pants and walk through river.
Yes, walk through river and all these things.
Instead of giving the people a proper road and bridge to go home, they walk through the river now. And they go and sit down beside them in their old broken down houses and sit down beside the old lady and say how much they care. And election time come, they'll go and lift her up by her arm and carry her by her foot to go vote. And then once that is over, she's left to suffer for the next 5 years. And if she managed to live until the next election, they'll go down there and get her again.
Yep. So we're BJA22 says, "Mr. Patterson, I live in Alberta, Canada for over 10 years, and I have never seen one Thursday that the garbage truck did not show up. This is what we want."
Absolutely. I've lived in Canada, Douglas. I've lived in Canada for a number of years. And it was Wednesday, I think, for us. Every Wednesday. And if you miss it, you have to make sure you run out run out and make you put down your thing because they're going to come on time. And if you miss it, you have to pay, right? You have to now pay, you know. And if you put out too much garbage, you can even put the number of garbage, like, you know, you can't just be wasteful. And then they also have different bins. So you have bins for the compostable material, then you have bins for the plastics and the metals and so on. And if you have bigger things you want to put out, then you have to get a special tag for them. Like, let's say you want to throw out an old bed or an old sofa, then you have, so there are processes, you know. And if you miss the garbage drop off, pick up or whatever, then you can drive your own garbage to a station and drop it off. Like, there's a, you know, drop it off there. And there's a process for that. Everything is a process, and it's a nice process, a clean process, a very orderly process, a customer service driven process. And that I want from a country boss.
Yeah.
That's what I want here in Jamaica. And somebody said the other day that Mr. Patterson wanted to make Jamaica like Canada and Singapore, but they said something negative after that. Well, my dear, yes, I want to make Jamaica like Canada and Singapore in terms of the good things that work in those countries. And if you don't want that, I don't know why you wouldn't. But I want that. I want to make Jamaica no less than the Canada I lived in. I want to make Jamaica no less than the Singapore who started out just as poor and even a little poorer than we, and in 25 years create a beautiful, safe, orderly, clean country. If them can do that in 25 years, I don't see why we have not been able to do it in 78.
All right, so Ken Francis, I live in St. Elizabeth for 22 years, and I can count the amount of times I see the garbage truck between Balaclava to Elim.
Yes.
Yes.
You're lucky you can count. Honestly, this is, I mean, Sir Harper, just imagine yourself, you live in Kingston, so you're better than me, right? And Kingston normally have better services than everywhere else because Kingston is Jamaica. But I live in St. Elizabeth, and I rarely ever see the garbage truck, you know. The 6 times that they have picked up now in 11 years, it's up now from the 4. The 6th time that they have picked up now, I've only seen them twice in the process. My wife is the reason why they pick up. My wife is relentless, you know. So she's on the phone and she calls and she calls and she calls and she calls. I don't know how she do it because I don't have that degree of patience. And she follows up with them and she calls the person who would drive the truck and where you're there and where you come and, you know, this day and him no show up and she call again. When you're coming this time, and she planning, and she will leave the garbage has been out there now for a month at the gate because she called him and she work out and him was supposed to come the day and him not come and him supposed to come the another day and him not come, and she has been calling and calling and calling, and it's because of her why we have 6 pickup. If it was because of me, we'd only have 1 because they came one time without us calling, so it would have been once in 11 years. So it can't be the way that Mr. Harper. This cannot be the way we run a country. It just can't be the way.
Yeah.
Cannot be the way we run a country.
Shand Ellis says, there is a system of a small return for recycling plastics, aluminum cans and such. Maybe we should do that as a way to keep it clean. Yeah, there are many ways that we can, many avenues that we can go down in terms of keeping our communities clean and providing some kind of incentive for people to be clean. But at the same time, if you're surrounded by garbage, and this is what you wake up and see every day, the thought of taking the garbage to where it should properly go is not even in your thoughts. You wake up and see this, so it's like for you, it's like, oh well, this is just how things are. You know, as Mr. Patterson said earlier, you know, we can't have a situation where this is the agency of the government that is mandated to clean up, and they are not doing it, but then now we're being asked to do something else, to help the government not do what they're supposed to do.
Yeah. The more we do it, is the more they get away and they leave it. You know why they do this, by the way? You see, if the Jamaican people is in Canada, right? In Canada, most of the population is highly educated, right? So if the government were to try to do what many of the things that the Jamaican government get away with here in Jamaica, they would not even for a day get away with it in Canada because the people are too aware of what should happen. Now in Jamaica, the people are so used to getting bad governance that they actually think it's normal.
Yeah.
And so when they go to vote, they're not voting based on good governance. They're voting based on something else. They vote based on antics, on theatrics. In Canada, there's no big deal about voting, to be honest with you. People don't get as animated unless there's a major problem, like let's say there was a major corruption scandal and people get excited. We need to get rid of them, But on a normal basis, elections happen without much fanfare because the people are happy. They don't need whoever you elect. The garbage is being picked up. The road is being maintained. The landscape looks okay, beautiful actually. From one season to the next, you see things done to make the place beautiful in different ways. The police works. If you call 911, you quickly get a response. They show up at the door very quickly. So the people, politics can be relatively boring because there's nothing. But here in Jamaica now, what gets us animated about politics is the dub plate and the Clarks and the song, whichever song them have, and who put out the best advertisement and all these ridiculous things. People are not asking for the basics. They're not saying, listen, I demand that we have a safe, clean, and orderly country. I demand that. I'm not asking you. You must get that. We must have a safe country. We must have a clean country. We will not tolerate 1,000 murders or 1,200 or 1,500. We will not tolerate dirty streets. We will not tolerate not having fixed addresses. For 78 years, we have gone without fixed addresses right across the country. Yes, people in Kingston have it, but right across the country, many communities like St. Elizabeth and Clarendon and Westmoreland and Trelawney and St. Thomas and St. Mary, people are going without fixed address. You don't have a fixed address that says this is where you live? No, man. My fellow Jamaicans, let's stop this. We must now demand good governance now, right now. We're not going to wait no longer. We want it now. We must demand it now. We must enough is enough. We're not going to tolerate. Listen, on September 22nd, I need to see all of you out there with me and the rest of the team, Ward Theatre. We're going to walk from Ward Theatre to Heroes Circle, to Emancipation Park, to Halfway Tree, and we're going to demand good governance now. We're not going to wait anymore. We don't want you to tell us to ban our belly and wait anymore. We're not going to sacrifice anymore. We're not going to be patient anymore. We want good governance now. And I hope my fellow Jamaicans really want that, because I'm tired. I've been here now. I've been back to Jamaica for 11 years, and I'm tired of seeing us settle for less than we should be getting as a people. They have the money. They're taking $900 billion out of our economy every year. $900 billion they're taking from us every year. That's the cost of our government. 45% of our GDP. That's the same percentage the Canadian government takes from the Canadian people. And they have a safe environment. They have a clean environment. They have an orderly environment. They have a pretty country.
Yeah.
There's no reason, Mr. Harper, that we should continue to have a dirty Jamaica, an unclean Jamaica, a Jamaica which is not pretty and beautiful end to end because we manage it properly. We need to have that. The time has come.
The time has come. Time has definitely come. So, ni hao, says, with a third of the population squatting, fixed addresses are out the window.
Absolutely not. Let's stop having squatters. The UIC has a housing plan that the government can borrow right now. Would give it to them free of charge. Let's make all Jamaicans a property owner. Singapore has done it. Little Singapore. Why? Who asked the question again? Who asked it a while ago?
Ni hao, ni hao.
Ni hao.
Let me bring it back up.
Yeah. Why? I'm asking a simple question. How long should it take our government to learn? Now, Singapore, within 25 years, created a housing solution that eliminated squatting and eliminated ghettos and bring their people to a home ownership of over 92%. 25 years they did that from 1965 to 19 what? I think they 95 somewhere there, 90s. They were able to do this. Now, why is it 85 actually? Or 1990. Why is it they did that and our government couldn't do the basic thing? Very basic. Just go copy them. Just take a plane and go over Singapore. They travel all the time at our expense. Go to Singapore, spend a month. Go spend a month in Singapore. Send somebody, send a team of 7 persons there to go and look at all their systems. How uno give uno people housing so easily? How wanna clean up on a place so easily? How wanna make a green city? How wanna manage out your garbage so well? How wanna fix an economy so beautifully? How wanna get an education system to work so well? Just go over there now and spend 6 months. Send a team and let them live over there for 6 months and come back to Jamaica and say, look, they have done it. We can do it too. Now, if they have not done that, Arthur, bear with me. If they've been in our government now from 1944, how much time do you need to study and copy from the guy next door to you and say, how him do it? Him did pour an away. Less resources that way. How did he do that? And just copy it and come back to Jamaica. You can't think, you don't have the sense, you can't reason, you can't design anything, you can't build anything. So you just go and copy. Look at China. You know what China did? Them copy everything. China, the leadership in China, they go, how they make Reebok? We're going to copy it. How they make this cell phone? We're going to copy it. And then they start to improve on it where possible. Sometimes it's still cheaper and not as good. But the bottom line is, them copy and they made China a richer country for their copying ability. Why our leaders couldn't even copy? If they can't think and reason and design and build and come up with solid solutions, why not just copy, Sir Harper? What? So the UIC will do it for them. They have had 78 years now and they have failed. So we in the UIC now say, listen, what we will do, step aside and we will show you how you can get squatting to disappear, or you can get ghettos to disappear, or you can get the garbage to disappear, or you can get the Jamaican people to be clean, or you can get the Jamaican people to be orderly, or you can get Jamaica to be a safe country. Step aside, Andrew. Step aside, Mark. Step aside, PNP. Step aside, GLP, and let us show the country how to be run properly. We know you're not going to step aside. So we, the people, have to put you aside.
Yes. Agreed. This is Little Digo Vivo. Will you get back the 2 major airports in Montego Bay and Kingston? I don't know what he's talking about here.
You'll have kinds of opportunities like the airports coming back into Jamaica's hands. It won't be a simple overnight matter to say get it back in, because once you sell something, you have to buy it back, right? And you have to negotiate and all of that. So there will be priorities. The airports will be a lower priority. Our first priority is to make sure we get the Jamaican economy going, make sure we have a constitution that will protect the rights of Jamaicans, and of course, creating a safe, clean, and orderly environment for the Jamaican people. And out of that will come a great many other things. If you have a good constitution and you have a safe, clean, and orderly environment, and an education system that now is turning up the thing in terms of our learning and growing and competences, then you're going to see some serious changes. But it won't happen overnight. The first 5 years is to set the foundation. The second 5 years we take off, and the next 10 years after that, you'll see the Singapore of the Caribbean being the Jamaica that you want to see.
All right, next question is, can the Jamaicans who live abroad vote also?
So right now, if you live abroad and you wanted to vote right now, this is under the existing system, you would need to fly home to Jamaica, have a Jamaican address, go to the electoral office in your community, in your town, and register. And they would have to come to your home in Jamaica and see you physically there, and then add it to the voters list at that point in time. And then when it's time for election, you'd have to fly back to Jamaica again and then vote. Very cumbersome and very painful and difficult. Now, when the UIC takes office, different story. All Jamaican nationals, anywhere you are in the world, will be able to register and confirm their citizenship in Jamaica. And once you're a citizen of Jamaica, you will have the right to vote using absentee ballots from wherever you are in the world. You'll also be able to run for office. You'll also be able to hold public office in Jamaica. As a matter of fact, this is very important to us. We want to make sure that when we're filling ministerial positions, so Minister of Health, Minister of Education, Minister of Environment, to fill those positions, we're going to recruit the best and brightest Jamaicans from anywhere they are in the world. So let's say we have a great environmentalist living in Greece, a Jamaican, and we want such a person to be in Jamaica because we want to fill that position with the best possible Jamaican we can find. We're going to recruit that person from Greece. If we have a health minister, somebody who could be a health minister, and they're living in say Nairobi, Kenya, and they're doing a great job over there in their profession, we're going to recruit them and bring them back to Jamaica. So we're going to do a hell of a job bringing back we're going to reverse the brain drain and bring back as many people as possible with the skills and competences we need. If you're here in Jamaica and you have the skills and competences, you get the job. If you're a Jamaican living anywhere in the world and you're the best Jamaican for the job, we're going to make sure you get the job if you want it, and make sure we help you to come back home and get settled and help your Jamaican people achieve their maximum potential. As a matter of fact, all Jamaicans who want to come home, when the UIC is elected, you'll be allowed to come home 100% duty-free. What does this mean? You'll not pay a cent at the border to bring your house, your land, your business, anything that you can bring through the port, whatever it is, that is yours, that adds value to you, and you're now going to bring to Jamaica and add value to Jamaica. You can bring it, your brain, your family, the entire content of your home, everything in your business. Even if you have high-level employees, like with top-notch skills, they want to bring them to Jamaica, we want you to be allowed to bring them here. Again, absolutely duty-free. Why are we doing this? We want to expand the notion of Jamaica. Jamaica is more than just a physical island. Jamaica is all Jamaicans. So we want a new mindset in Jamaica where once you're Jamaican for life, no matter where you are. You live in Egypt, you live in Israel, you live in Nairobi, you live in Brazil. No matter where you're there, you know that you belong to Jamaica and Jamaica has your back. And so if you get into any form of trouble, as long as you have not done anything wrong, you're not a criminal, any form of trouble, and if you're even accused of a crime, we're going to make sure that you're being properly dealt with in terms of, you're not being violated or your rights being violated or whatever. We are going to have your back. So we're going to expand the idea of Jamaica now to be a Jamaica of all Jamaicans in the diaspora. And anytime you're ready to come home, we are ready to receive you. And if you want to even live where you're there, overseas, and do business here, you must get the first preference over any Chinese, any Indian, any other race, English, American, whatever. If you raise your hand and say, I want to do this in Jamaica, nobody must not get preference over you. Nobody at all. You must get first pick, first discount, first tax break. so that you can come home, or not even come home. You can stay away there if you don't want to come home to live, and invest in Jamaica and know that your government is going to give you first preference, give you all the information and data you need to make a good decision, and support you in that decision so you can be the one that own Jamaica. If a hotel must build, owned by Jamaicans, even if you live abroad. If a new business must be started, owned by Jamaicans, even if you live abroad. We want Jamaica to be owned by Jamaicans as much as possible. And for that to happen, we must give special treatment to our people, Jamaica first, Jamaicans first, and that's what the UIC is all about.
Yep. Our next question is from Lou Carr. Will the UIC encourage remote employment for Jamaicans abroad?
Absolutely. We will create an enabling environment where Jamaicans can stay right here in Jamaica and work in any country they want around the world, via the technology. And also for Jamaicans outside of Jamaica to be even outside of Jamaica and work in Jamaica, meaning they're doing stuff for the Jamaican government, for the Jamaican people. We will not discriminate against a single Jamaican, no matter where they're. No matter how long you left Jamaica, and if you're the child of a Jamaican, you're a Jamaican.
Lion always coming with the comments, step aside JLP, PNP, and watch real leadership at work. UIC is what the Jamaican people need. Absolutely. 100% agree with you, Lion. Ni Hao, asking another question. 0.2% of the population, mainly non-Black, owns 95% of the economy. How will you deepen and widen the wealth creation process?
Absolutely. It's very simple, actually. Once you introduce free banking and make it a right for all Jamaicans to own a bank account, and once we take back the Bank of Jamaica and make it a truly Jamaican bank, which is there to provide financing to the Jamaican people, especially the grassroots coming up, and make capital available at the grassroots level. And once we fully invest in our human capital right up to the PhD level, so nobody, no matter how poor you are, will be barred from earning the highest degree that they can possibly earn. And once we make sure that the regulations are no longer designed to stifle small business and give preference to big business and turn it around, you're now going to see a transfer of wealth from the rich to the poor, not because we redistributed, but because now we are empowering the poor to no longer be poor. Listen, if we give the poor man property, because we're going to make every Jamaican family property owners, so no longer are people going to suffer in ghettos and squatting. They're going to have homes now, beautiful condos like you see in Singapore, with all the amenities necessary, a community center, parks, play areas for the younger children, library, digital library with education material and everything. They're going to now have a facility that allows them to now be a different Jamaican. The whole environment changed for them, right? And the schooling is different. They're now Afrocentric and all of that. So what this is going to do, we're going to open up for the first time to the average Jamaicans opportunities never before seen in this country. And because of that, they're going to be competing effectively with the rich, who will no longer have the cover of government and regulations that works for them. They're now going to have an environment where we're not trying to do them any harm. We're simply now giving the preference to the small man so that he can quickly rise up out of his smallness and out of his poverty and become somebody on equal footing with the rich and powerful. It won't happen overnight, but overnight we're going to change direction, and overnight we're going to empower Jamaicans to now realize their full potential. So yes, that gap between the rich and the poor is going to narrow very quickly. And you might be wondering, is this realistic? Yes. I always have to tell you, Singapore did it, and so can we, right? So all the things I'm saying, without you knowing that somebody else have done it, it will sound like fairy tale sometimes. But I am working from what has already worked. Singapore has done it. Another one, for example, forgive me, Harper, and I was looking at it again today. My God. How does a little country named the Netherlands, in a cold environment, become the largest food producer in the world, second
Yeah.
largest in the world? How? In a Europe, where them not have what we have, them don't have all of this. Yeah? Them right now, if you go to the Netherlands, them can't enjoy the outdoors like I'm enjoying it right now. I'm outside on piece of my property here. Now, if they can do that, and I went back and look again how them do it, the people them take agriculture serious. They have a university that teaches nothing but agriculture. No law, no politics, no only for fool subjects. It is purely and 100% focused on agriculture. They study everything from every water droplet to every ounce of fertilization to every inch of ground that they have to use, and they find a way to use 1/3 the amount of water other countries use to produce twice and 4 times as much food, and to do so without the negative pesticides and herbicides that we're suffering from here in Jamaica and being cancerous because of it. If them can do it, we can do it too.
Yeah.
I don't believe that it's because them white them can do it, so white is right and black is bad. No, I believe that the black man, the African, has the same amount of ability as any other nation on the planet.
Agreed.
And so this UIC and this Jamaica and this Joseph Patterson is going to make sure that we pull out the best out of our people. We're going to bring our people up as fast as possible. And I'm serious. I am going to make sure we work with farmers and transform their thinking, transform their environment, transform their tools and technology, and convert Jamaica into the largest producer of organic food the world has ever seen. We're going to compete with the likes of Netherlands because we have more than them. We have better soil than them. We have better environment than them. So if them can be second with 17 million people, they can be second to a nation with 350 million people. Second, 17 million people and far less land. They are second to a country with a whole heap more land and 350 million people. Jamaica's size is no impediment to our ability to be a great nation. And so we're going to do it. We're going to study and learn and copy from the Netherlands and improve on it. We're going to study and learn and copy from Singapore and improve on it. We're going to study, we're going to borrow the apprenticeship program from Germany. They have done a great job of making sure that them don't graduate in a dunce when it comes on to the trades, having technical competence skills in automotive and machine building and whatever. We can do it too. So we are going to copy the good elements from their apprenticeship program and put it in a Jamaica, make it better, combine it with some stuff from Singapore, combine it with some stuff from the Netherlands, combine it with some stuff from France, combine it with some stuff from Rwanda, combine it with some stuff from Ghana. Wherever the people there are do something good, we're going to copy it, improve it, make it better, make it work for Jamaica, and bring out the best in our people. It's time for us. We have wasted 78 years, and we must not waste another.
Yes, guys, 78 years. I mean, that's close to a century, right? That's 22 years less than a century. I mean, how much longer do we have to wait? Really, how much longer? I mean, 78 years is not enough? Really? So, Miller Rebel asking the question, how do we get rid of the GMO stuff and bring awareness?
Very, very simple. Well, it's not simple. Nothing is ever simple. I should never say very simple because it's going to be hard. The powers that be locally and internationally going to fight with. But we have to be diplomatic. We have to be smart. We have to be wise. I must tell you, I am very impressed by the diplomacy shown by Lee Kuan Yew during his 30 years as Prime Minister of Singapore. Very impressive. I also know that the powers that be outside of Jamaica, they have their own agenda. and you have to be careful how you navigate their agenda. But the worst ones is actually within. The worst enemy we have is the enemy within. It is the two major parties and the strong backing that they have from the PSOJ oligarchs. They're not going to relent. Them going to make sure so the UIC can't open a bank account. They're going to continue to try to block us from opening a bank account. So we're going to have to win this election with going through all kind of different paths to try to get things done. So they're going to continue to block us from getting our bank account. They're going to try. They're going to continue to block us from radio and television as much as possible. They're going to try to report us to Facebook and Twitter and everybody and YouTube and try to shut down our accounts like they're doing right now. They're going to intimidate our candidates. They're going to try to discredit me because they have a plan now. If they can discredit me, they can destroy the organization. They know how Jamaica works. They know that it's difficult. The way we operate in Jamaica, it's very difficult to get anything done. And they know that most Jamaicans will not give the kind of time and energy to the UIC that I have done. They won't do it. Like as soon as, if anybody had to go what I go through, most of the people I know and see around, if they had to go through what I go through, the UIC dead long time.
Yeah.
And they'll be back to just PNP and GLP. So they're going to fight us. So the only way we can win this is if you fight with us. If you see, when we join hands together, if all we join hands, lock arms, you understand? It's hard for them to destroy us if all of we join hands. And so the more we join hands and join hands and join hands, we're going to win this election, not because we had the most money, not because we had the benefit of radio and television advertisement and access and acceptance in the traditional media spaces. We're not going to win because the intellectuals believed in us and agreed with us and supported us. We're going to win this because the people fed up and realized that there's only one movement in Jamaica that is committed to their cause. And so we have to spread that word, we have to spread that message and bring our families in. They're going to tell you, no third party can win. They're going to tell you that. No third party can win. That's their coping mechanism. Don't be upset with them. Don't be turned off because they say that. They're only saying that because they don't want to dream. They don't want to raise their hopes and expectations and get it dashed. They're afraid that if they hope again, they're going to be failed again. So you have to help them to know that they have to overcome that natural tendency to give up. They have to hope again. They have to dream again. They have to desire again and think that, yes, man, we can get a better Jamaica. We deserve a better Jamaica. And if we can just get that message through without being angry, not cuss with them, not fight with them, not tell them that them good for nothing and them not. No, just tell them, I understand how you feel. But just watch one of the UIC video and tell me what you think afterwards. Just watch one. Come, just, I know you don't think them can win, but just go subscribe so you can at least hear what I'm going to say and see for yourself. You understand? Here's a brochure. I'm going to send it to you on WhatsApp. Here you go. Read this. Read the 10-point plan and see what you think. Here's the website. Go read their manifesto and see what you think. And if you want, come man, one night, me and you, let's go watch UIC Liberty TV and we can talk afterwards and see how it goes. We all have to do what we can. And little by little, we're going to convert the whole nation. Not everybody. 62 or so percent we want. Just that. In fact, if we get 30%, we'll win. You know why? Because the other two parties, the last election, the GLP got 21% of the entire voting population. So in truth and in fact, we have an illegitimate government because they're not supported by what? 79%?
70, yeah.
79%, right? Did I get that right? Yeah, 79%. So yeah, but 21, yeah. So we have a government that does not have the explicit support of 79% of the nation. Now the PNP in the last election only got 16%. So then even worse. So 21% for the GLP and 16% for the PNP. And you know that Jamaica used to be PNP country. And the reason why it was PNP country is because once upon a time, they had a leader called Michael Manley. And Michael Manley, everybody know, was a genuine leader who loved this country, loved these people, and wanted what was best for the people. But unfortunately, what him want and what the other members of his party wanted, the other rest of the leadership, are two different things. And so while he was rowing in one direction, a whole heap of them was rowing in another direction, because a lot of them are thief. Manley, when he left office, he wasn't a big rich nothing, because he never focused on thieving from the country. He was focused on building what he thought was the best Jamaica. His policies weren't all the best policies, I must admit that. But nobody can suspect him of not being genuine and committed to helping the poor to rise up in this country. But he failed. Now, we have to make sure that this time around, we succeed. And the only way we can succeed is by coming together and joining together, because the other two groups, they are committed to keeping Jamaica right where it is.
are. Yep. And they're working tirelessly, day and night, overtime, to make sure it stays the same. All right, so Natalie Mullings has a question. Mr. Patterson, what is your position on guns for law-abiding citizens can protect themselves?
That's a lovely question, and I think you know the answer. The UIC is 100% committed to your right to self-defense. We believe that every citizen must be able to defend themselves. And in order for you to defend yourself effectively, one of the tools that you may need is a licensed firearm. So we believe completely in your right to own and bear arms to defend yourself, especially in a country where the police has proven to be very ineffectual and where the government has proven to be very corrupt, and therefore your safety is at risk because you do not have a system of governance that clearly puts you at the agenda in terms of safety and security. And so I believe every Jamaican, every law-abiding Jamaican who wishes to has a right to own a firearm. Every law-abiding Jamaican who has the mental capacity, they have to be tested, you have a right to own and carry a firearm. And no government should seek to prevent you from having that on any pretext, except that you're not mentally sound to be able to carry one. Now, I must follow up on this and say a little bit more as well. We need to learn this. One of the reasons why you need to have a firearm is that no government should be able to disarm its citizens, because the government itself can go rogue. You understand? The government itself can turn against its citizens. And when they create and many countries are now trying to disarm their citizens. They're trying especially in America, there's a big campaign to try to make sure that the citizens are without any means of self-defense. And so when the government decides now to do bad things to the citizens, they will not have the means to hold their government accountable and to stop them from eroding their personal rights and freedoms. And so we in the UIC believe it's very important that the citizens are in a position to defend themselves, not just from illegal criminals, but also from legal criminals. And your government can easily become a legal criminal when it decides that it has the right to supersede your individual sovereignty and want to take away your right to either your life or your liberty or your property. When the UIC changes the when the UIC replaces the colonial constitution with a new and true Jamaican constitution, you will have the right to defend yourself even from the government should it decide to overstep its boundary and seek to take away your natural born individual sovereignty.
Question here from Nihao again. Wouldn't it be a great strategy to get the 2% power brokers on board with the UIC?
No, it's not a great strategy actually. If I get the 2% power brokers on board with the UIC, then might as well we have the JLP and the PNP.
Yeah.
It's very simple. They have no interest. The only way we get them on our side is if we go on their side. And their side is to continue to make 10% of the country control 90% of the wealth, and 90% of the country continues to exist on the margins. They're not interested in what we're interested in. There's no way the two shall meet. We must focus on the 90% of Jamaicans who are being disenfranchised, undermined, and who are being kept out of achieving their full economic potential by a group of people who want to keep them on the margin. If they want to join us, no problem. They can simply write us a check for $300 million too, like they do with the other ones, and then don't ask us to change anything, and I'll know that they're serious. If the more they comment to Mr. Patterson, we've been watching your videos and stuff, and we believe we want the Jamaica that you're talking about. So we're going to write the UIC a check for $300 million, all of it, because we want to make sure in the next election you can be on no lesser footing than those other guys. So here's $300 million, and we're not asking you to change anything in your platform, any of your policies. We're just giving you $300 million. I will disclose that to all of you immediately, and you'll know that there's been a great conversion of those who are currently running the country. Don't hold your breath.
Well said, well said. Rhythm Life, how do you plan to protect our children from the transgender agenda currently exploding across the globe?
Well, the only way for us to protect our children is to elect the UIC and our agenda. Our agenda protects you from everything, because nobody in the UIC system of governance, nobody can force any ideology on anybody, whatever that ideology is, whether it's one you agree with or disagree with. For example, we're going to have full religious liberty. So we're not going to, as a government, as a new government, and I mean not just the UIC, the new system of governance, we will give no preference, support, or discouragement of any religion, except the religion that promotes the use of force or fraud against people, right? So once it's not promoting that, all religions, so we're not going to give any preference. We're not going to give any preference to religious holidays, for example. Whichever religion you're a part of, you can keep your holiday, but the government will not be sponsoring it or in any way pushing it or in any way supporting it. You'll be free to choose what you want to do. It must be a personal, individual, or family or community choice. Okay? Schooling. Our model of education allows the parents to choose where their child go, and for the school to choose what its curriculum will be within the confines of us having a fundamental basic curriculum of Afrocentricity and whole person development, so that the child will be empowered to be an effective person in the world. But we're not going to limit the school from teaching other things that they want to teach, and for the parents to choose where their child goes. So let's say you have a school over here that want to teach Rastafarianism. No problem. But let's say you're a parent who don't want your child to learn Rastafarianism. No problem. You move your child to the next school, and the money that the government provides will follow the child to that school that you want your child to go to. So we're putting the power back in the hands of parents. So now look at the beauty of it. You have to think this through, Right now, because we have a monopoly education system where the government has a monopoly on education, every children here learn the same foolishness that the government wants them to learn. So if you have a colonial master or a PSOJ master who want our children to learn a particular thing, they have an easy way of doing that by just pushing it down through the government. In the UIC model, the government will not be allowed to do that. The school system will be a multiplicity of what's the word I'm looking for? It will be you'll have choice, you'll have variations, and so you'll have, for example, a sports school where the organizers of that school, the board, and the community decide they want to have a high school where the emphasis is on sports. And so parents who see potential in their child, I think my child would do very well going to a school where the emphasis is athletics. They're going to be the next Usain Bolt or the next Shellyan or the next Celine or the next Sharika. And so I believe I want to guide my child in that direction. Fine. The parent does that, the money follows the child, that school does well. Another school is interested more in business, and they want to create a curriculum where when the child finishes high school, they already know some key things about business and money at a level that is more advanced. The same thing for science. And you also have groups like the Rastafarians. I want to have a school where the values of Rastafarianism are taught along with whatever else and so on. But so they have that school. A Christian group, they want to have a Christian school that teaches the value and virtues of Jesus Christ, the fruit of the Spirit, love, joy, peace, patience, kindness. They want that. Another group, they want to teach their children the principles of Muslim. So we're going to allow the parents, the family, to once again take control of what they want their child to learn. We, the government, will play the regulatory role, not the running role. So we'll regulate the school system to ensure that the school is clean, properly staffed. Whatever they promise the parents is what they're delivering. So if they promise the parents that send the kids to my school and we're going to be doing this, and we have this qualified personnel, then you must have that. So the government will be verifying that the school is living up to the expectations that they gave the parents. So no force or fraud is happening here. Health-wise, is the school healthy? Meaning, proper bathroom facilities, it is clean, the food that they're serving is proper, it's not, whatever. So we're going to finally have government do its proper role as the regulator, not as the operator of our school system, and now have a diversity of schools which allows the Jamaican family, the parent, to put their child in the one that makes most sense to them, and that will allow us to create a mosaic of competencies and talents and a richer country, rather than have what we have now, a monolithic system which is causing us to graduate the same conveyor belt with the same level of deficiencies and lack of competencies and poor quality schools and so on. We need to stop that. We need to move away from that, and we're going to do that.
Yeah. Well, people, it's been 2 hours. Time goes by when you're having fun. So we're going to have to close it here tonight. We want to thank Mr. Patterson for coming on. I want to thank you guys for tuning in and for making the program such a great program.
Can we, before you go, Mr. Harper, I'd love to get feedback. Can we ask the persons in the chat to just rate the program for us? So if you thought the program was good and satisfactory, very, very good, give it a 10. So write 10 in the comments, say I give a 10 or whatever you want to say. If you thought it was a lousy program, horrible program, it wasn't to your liking, give it a 1. If it's an average program, put a 5. If it's better than average, so 5 to 10. If it's below average, 5 down to 1. Put that and let us know, because we like to get feedback so we can know, are we connecting with you? Are you getting value out of this? And are we doing the right thing? Because we need to do, we're here for you. This is for you. This is for you, for us, for our country. So give us your feedback, and thank you very much in advance for sharing. I see a lot of 10s at the moment. Thank you very much, everyone. We appreciate it.
Miller Rebel says 11.
Thank you. That's very kind.
Well, thank you so much, guys. We appreciate that you appreciate our shows. We put a lot of time and effort into preparing the information for you guys. And we really appreciate the fact that you actually stay for the 2 hours, right? We held your attention for 2 hours. There was a comment, but I can't seem to get it again. So please remember, go on our website, uicjamaica.com, and just go. I mean, if you're new to the UIC, go on the website and read our manifesto, see what we're about, see if this is something that resonates with you. If you're someone that has been following us for a while, go on the website and maybe decide to become a volunteer or a supporter. if you're really serious about the UIC, making waves, then you'd want to donate. And so the website is there for you to peruse and get involved. And of course, follow us on all our social media channels. We're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, we're also on Twitter, and connect with us.
Yeah. By the way, brother, my brother Harper, I want to make a special appeal as well. We're now in the last month of the last day of the month, August 31st, and we're behind by $1,000 in our budget. We're behind $1,000 to be able to meet all of our expenses for the month. So anything you can do to help us, guys, tonight to make it for the month of August to reach our budget target. We're behind by $1,000. So anything you can do to help, please make a donation tonight before we get into the next month, which is tomorrow. So before midnight, I guess, if you can make a donation on our website at uicjamaica.com, click on the donate button and help us to reach the additional $1,000 that we need for the month. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. All the best.
All the
Bye,
guys.
everyone.
Thanks for tuning in. Bye.
Take care.